What's My Line? Brought to you by New Petum Coat and Skin Daily Food Supplement. A new pet care product for bright, glowing coats and healthier skin. Petum. And now let's all play What's My Line? And now, live from New York, let's meet our What's My Line panel. First, the delightful star of stage, screen, and television, Miss Arlene Francis.
Thank you. And now, an absolutely delightful humorist, who this very Wednesday will be starting a new picture for Columbia called Who's Minding the Mint? And he certainly can mind mine anytime. And here is Joey Bishop.
I just want to explain this sudden outburst of amour. Last Sunday, when the What's My Line people asked me to do the show, I explained I'd love to do it, but I didn't have a tuxedo to wear. I was in the company of Frank Sinatra at the time. The jacket I'm wearing is Frank Sinatra's tuxedo, and Arlene is nuts about the jacket.
And you.
I also want to remind you, Frank, you left no money in it. To my left, a very charming lady that I had the pleasure of meeting this past week, the editor of Cosmopolitan magazine, who was also nuts about me, Helen Gurley Brown.
It's my privilege to introduce a gentleman who distributes my book, so I have to be nice to him, but it's a great pleasure anyway, the president of Random House, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
Well, our panel moderator was the subject of a violent discussion at the Shakespeare Society this week. An impressionable lady said, John Daly reminds me of A Midsummer Night's Dream. But one of the men who doesn't think quite so much of him said, much ado about nothing. So you pay your money and you take your choice. Here he is, John Charles Daly.
Well, as Arlene will only too well know, every time he gets a new author, we hear about the stuff he's writing. Huh? Terrible thing. Mrs. Brown, it's nice to have you with us, and Joey, good to see you there, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Daly.
Glad you found a tuxedo, a distinguished tuxedo, and we've got some rather distinguished little problems to pose before you all in the next half hour. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the program, but right now, let's meet our first contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Yes, indeed. Gunnel Bertson. Bertson, right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Bertson? Miss Bertson. And where are you from?
Originally from Sweden, but I live in New York.
You live in New York now. Fine. May I present the panel? Miss Bertson, and now will you join me over here, and we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we can tell you that Miss Bertson is salaried and deals in a service, and we'll begin things with Joey Bishop.
Has she signed in yet?
Yeah.
You are salaried, and I understand...
Deal in a service.
Pardon me?
And deal in a service.
And deals in a service, and you are in New York now. Is that... Well, no. When I say in New York now, your name seemed to have a foreign...
Well, Miss Bertson is originally from Sweden, but is...
Oh, well, is New York your permanent home now?
Yes.
Is what you're doing in New York now something that you did in Sweden?
No.
No, that's 1 down and 9 to go, Mrs. Brown.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes.
This service that you perform, is it for human beings as opposed to animals?
Oh, yes.
Do you take care of both men and women?
Yes.
Do you do this, whatever it is, inside?
Yes, most of the time.
Do you wear something-
A small conference. Okay.
It depends on where they put you.
I think to be fair, you mustn't put too much weight. What we will admit is that Miss Bertson works inside sometimes and outside sometimes.
I see. Do you wear something other than your street clothes when you do what you're doing?
Yes, I do.
Something other than what you would have on now?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with the entertainment or sports field?
Yes.
One or the other? I'll take a flying guess and say sports.
Yes.
Are you, do you train people to do something? Do you instruct?
No.
No, that's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Butson, do you participate then actively in the sport which you are engaged in?
No.
No.
You do not?
3 down and 7 to go, Arlene.
She doesn't act in the sport, and she isn't behind the scenes. Is that what you asked, Helen?
Well, I asked if you taught.
Oh, taught, are you in any way associated with the sport in a sense of helping whoever is a performer in this sport?
No.
No, that's 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Bishop.
John, he loves it when we're stupid, right? I would like to... Yes, I'm sorry, Arlene.
No.
Maybe she's... I asked earlier, was this something that she had not done in Sweden? And I believe...
The answer was yes, she has not done it in Sweden, no.
So this is, I am safe in assuming that's an American sport. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And, first you must, forgive me, I thought, you know, in terms of misuse. And then I don't know if it's a sport, so you threw me when you said indoor and outdoor. But by the same token, I don't make a living out of this show either, so I don't have to be that clever. You understand what I mean, John?
Yep.
Now we're getting to the point. Now, what was the question I asked you, John? I forgot.
You haven't yet.
Is this a sport that the young lady indulges in, that she does not indulge in, and yet she does not instruct, and she does not aid or help?
Those who do
participate
in, right.
Is it in the form of refereeing?
Refereeing. That's
dead.
5 down and 5 to go. I'll referee. That's Mrs. Brown.
Do people pay admission to this place where you are?
Yes, I do.
Do you have something to do with the management rather than with the sport itself? Do you sell tickets, for example?
No.
Nope. That's 6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Butson, the sport that with which you are somehow or other associated, is that sport indulged in by both men and women?
No, generally not.
But sometimes by both sexes?
We will admit that there is an indulging in the sport by both
Is it a
sexes.
team sport?
Yes.
Is there a ball involved in the sport?
Yes.
Is it a seasonal sport?
Yes.
Is it baseball?
Yes.
Now, you have something to do with baseball, and you're not a player, and I presume you're not an umpire. Can I presume that?
That's right.
And you are not helping the players. Have you got anything whatever to do with the financial end of the baseball team that you are associated with? Selling tickets or managing or press agenting?
No.
No.
7 down and 3 to go, Arlene.
Since you wear something other than what you're wearing now, would one ever find you on the field, in the baseball field? Are you a bat girl or bald girl?
No.
No?
Do you know I finally pinned this whole thing down? She gives pep talks to smorgasbords. Am I close, John?
No, not very. Not very. I'm going to
Let me ask you,
Wait a minute,
is it in the form of coaching?
Nope. That's 9 down and 1 to go, Mrs. Brown.
Do you have anything to do with promoting a team, for example?
No.
10 down and no more to go. And
Self-penance.
wouldn't you say this is the prettiest usher at Shea Stadium that you ever set eyes on?
I want to ask you one. Your hesitation about indoor and outdoor, was that because of the Astrodome and Houston?
No, actually, because sometimes Mrs. Bernson works inside the, the VIP lounges and things like that. Other times she's outside, so it's a mixture of both. Actually, she goes to school and studies at the School of Visual Arts in New York, but she's been ushering for the Mets for 2 years.
The way the Mets played today, I think she should be playing third base for them.
They all probably had their eyes on her.
Last week they passed the 1 million mark for attendance this year. You know, we should play as badly and do as well, as they put it. And I can see one reason why they do so well. Thank you very much, Scuttle. Nice to have you here. We'll have another contestant for you in just a moment after this one. And now to meet our next contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Peggy Hughley. Right, ma'am? Is it Miss or Mrs. Hughley? Miss Hughley. Where are you from?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Nice to have you with us. Miss Hughley, may I present the panel? Now, will you join me over here, and we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what you're like. All right. Panel, we can tell you that Miss Hughley is salaried and deals in a product, and we'll begin things with William Shakespeare. I mean, Bennett, sir.
I'm often mistaken for it. Miss Hughley, do you do your, perform your service in North Carolina?
Product.
You said...
Salaried and deals
in product. Oh, there's a product. Is the product that you deal in handled by you in North Carolina?
Yes.
Is it a product that the state is known for?
No.
No. 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
The audience was entertained by whatever it is that you do, Miss Hughley. Is there some fun in this product?
No, there is no fun inherent in the product itself.
I meant, do you have any fun from the product in any way?
Oh, Miss Hughley enjoys her work. Yes. You mean, does the average person have fun in terms of having a good time?
Is it an enjoyable product?
Is it an enjoyable product?
Yes.
You want me to say no, and Miss Hughley hits me right over the head. Now, this is a fine position. But does it have as one of its primary functions to give
You're saying it, I'm
pleasure
not.
specifically? Is that what you mean, Arlene?
I think you're going to get a no, John. But I'm all right.
All right, I'll give you a no if that's what you want. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Bishop.
Is the fact that the audience laughed an indication to us that that which you deal in is not normally found in Charlotte, North Carolina?
No. No, you find it in Charlotte, North Carolina all the time. 3 down and 7 to go, Mrs. Brown.
Miss Hughley, is this product found in the home?
Sometimes.
Is it something that could be lifted? I mean, could someone like me pick it up?
No. That's 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Hughley, is your product or has it ever been alive?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
But it can be found in the home. Hmm?
Sometimes. Mm-hmm.
I see. It's also found outside the home.
Mm-hmm.
Does it come in contact with the person when it is in use?
It could.
Yeah.
It could.
Well, by that you mean it could function by itself? It doesn't need anybody?
No, we wouldn't mean that.
No.
If you'd like to pose that question specifically, we'd be glad to entertain it.
No, I wouldn't like to pose that. Does it have any moving parts, this product?
Yes.
Does it have a motor of any kind?
Yes.
Does it operate under its own steam rather than having it connected with something else? It doesn't have to be plugged into anything to operate?
Well, it has a motor source, and with this motor source, it's pretty able to function by itself, I would say, wouldn't you?
Is it used to cover some territory when it is in use? Does it cover property or does it move around?
We could say that some part of that describes, in part, what we would consider the normal...
Is it made in part of metal?
Yes.
Could you sit on it?
Yes.
That is not to say we'd recommend it.
Is it used by human beings rather than by animals?
Yes.
Does it do anything to anything else? By that I mean, if it were a derrick or something, it would do something to something else. Does it indeed do something to something else? No?
No. That's 6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Bishop.
I just made a startling observation, John. It's never the guest that stopped me from guessing. She does. She asks so many questions and so many yeses that I don't remember half the things that she's gotten a yes answer from. So far, I've got this young lady making an alligator with wheels that won't go into the swamp, but will go into the home, but not necessarily the living room. Now, is that close, John?
That's reasonably close, yeah. That's reasonably close.
Earlier, we mentioned that it would be found in the home. Is that correct?
Right.
And yet, from the yes answers that Arlene received, it seemed like a very large object. Would it be an object comparable to perhaps a motorboat in size?
It could be, sometimes.
You mean it can be made larger or smaller?
Mm-hmm.
To fit into the house?
Or outside the house.
Or outside the house?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any form of water remotely connected with this?
No water.
Well, I wasn't finished yet, John.
You are now. 7 down to 3 to go, Mrs. Brown.
If it's in the house, is it more apt to be in any one room than another?
No.
No. That's 8 down to 2 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Does this product, this moving thing, move up and down as well as forwards and backwards?
Sometimes.
Can anybody get inside of this?
Sometimes.
Could more than one person get inside of it?
Yes.
Might it be used to take people from one floor to another?
Yes.
Have you something to do with the elevator business?
Yes.
Yeah. But, what does Miss Hughley have to do with the elevator business?
Well, maybe she operates an elevator.
That's 9 down and 1 to go, Miss French.
I hope you don't test them.
That's 10 down and no more to go.
You could have let me get in there when you were turning it over, John.
All right, I'll pick it back.
She repairs elevators.
No, so it drops out again.
She makes them.
Miss Hughley is the vice president of the Ace Elevator Company in Charlotte, and she sells them for the home, for big buildings, for small buildings, for big buildings, for furniture.
Well, I think she has a lot of nerve appearing here the night that I happen to be on here. I'll tell you that.
And I should add that Miss Hughley is a graduate mechanical engineer from the University of North Carolina and knows all about these things that she sells, too.
Dorothy Lamour started in the elevator business, too, at Marshall Field.
Yes, but she was an operator.
Yes, she was.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks very much. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, this message. And now the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery challenger, for which the panel, as you all know, is always blindfolded. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes,
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you enter mystery challenger and sign in, please? you know, in this case, a different form of questioning, one question at a time, in turn moving clockwise, and we'll begin with Arlene Francis.
Well, the applause went up and down and up again. Is there more than one mystery guest?
My goodness.
That's yes. Mr. Bishop?
Is one of the guests human?
That's yes, too. Mrs. Brown?
Are you a singing group?
Mr. Cerf?
What was that, yes or no?
That was a yes. Mhm.
That was a yes?
Yeah, that was a yes.
Are the mystery guests, respectively, one male and one female?
Yes. Miss Francis?
One male and one female. And do you always perform as a couple?
That's no. 1 down and 9 to go. Mr. Bishop?
When you said you don't always perform as a couple, is it because one of you are currently starring in a Broadway show? May I rephrase that question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you do an act prior to one of you getting the lead in a Broadway show?
No. That's 2 down and 8
I
to
heard
go.
6
Mr.
people
Brown.
answer.
Are you currently performing in New York?
That's yes. Mr. Cerf?
Are you currently performing in New York as a team of 2?
Yes. Miss Francis?
Yes.
Oh.
It isn't Jean-Pierre Aumont and Marisa Pavan.
Yes. Go on away. We were hoping to get you tied in knots, get you into the movies, into the theater, and everything else, but you fooled us.
They had such wonderful reviews at the Persian
The
Room.
Persian room at the
thank you,
Plaza.
darling.
Yes.
Wonderful review.
But you always guess. Every time I've been on you.
Sometimes I am very stupid.
Not when I have been on.
Well, it's a joy to have Mr. and Mrs. Jean-Pierre Aumont with us.
Thank
And I must say, with Arlene, I'm share the joy you must feel, those wonderful notices in the Persian room.
Well, you're
Yeah, we
very
are
nice. Thank
very
you.
thrilled.
Everybody has been very nice with us, I must say.
Really too nice people. Should be that way. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Goodbye.
Well, on the basis of a brilliant recovery panel, I'm going to give you congratulations. You deserve them. We'll all be back after this word. Mrs. Brown and Joey, very nice to have you with us as our guests tonight. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. We enjoyed watching you try to find out what these folks were doing. And good night, Arlene Francis.
Good night, dear John. Good night, Joey. Have a good time in California and come back to us soon.
I shall. Thank you. Good night, Helen. I will probably see you tomorrow night.
Wonderful,
Another
Joey.
show.
I'm looking forward to it. Bennett, wonderful to see you
Nice to see
again.
you again. Do a little surfing in Hawaii, Helen.
I'm going to
Good
sneak
night.
off there this summer and do a little surfing or something. And you have a nice time, too, Bennett. And thanks for all of you for being with us on What's My Line. Good night.
What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Cox. This is Johnny Olson speaking.